Hi everyone, this is Ishika Kesarwani and I welcome you all to the Tech Podcast. Today we have Samik Roy. He's the lead cloud developer at OpenSystems. So can you first start with your introduction?
Sure. First of all, I'd like to thank Ishika and the whole team for getting me in and then, giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts. So I basically, as the title says, I'm a lead cloud developer in Microsoft security partner called OpenSystems. And as a part of a job role, I do cloud security, but I have been into the industry for 10 years doing various roles, be it like application design, application development, at times testing as well, right? And I am also a great community enthusiast because I love to do things which encourages people. And then here I'm talk about like a little bit of how you can get started with your cloud journey or create in cloud and how you can be a part of the community. Yep.
Yeah. So you've been, a part of a community for a very long time. So like how did you get
Yeah.
started with it and like what was your main motivation?
So basically, the way I used to listen to this Microsoft build and all other events what Microsoft says, and being an audience, it was very lucrative to me, like how it feels like to be in the stage, and also the way they share their knowledge, how fruitful it has been to me. So I just wanted to do my part to my best, and that's why I got started. And I think I got started more than 2 years back and in C Sharp Corner as a SharePoint developer. Yeah, that's how it started, and then it goes on.
So you've been working on C Sharp as well.
Yeah,
So
I was. Yeah.
yeah. So like why did you choose C Sharp?
So what
I
happens
mean,
is, yeah,
it's a very old language, and not many people have been using it lately because
right,
we have a lot of frameworks coming up. So, like,
right.
what got your mind to it? To that?
Uh, So fundamentally, I was out a college fresher, and then I got introduced to a big stack of Microsoft technology as a part of my onboarding training, right? And the reason I learned C Sharp, it was more of through the object-oriented concepts. So it was just to clear out my concepts. So as I mentioned, C Sharp Corner was a website I mentioned, but by the time I have been developing something on JavaScript, something on client-side scripting, and things like that. Yeah, and also some part of application design as well. So yeah, and I think maybe we can call it old, but it's always a good idea to go by basics because those are the language which will ensure that you know the basics. Yep.
Yeah, makes sense. Also, you're a MCT, right? So, like,
Right.
how did you become one, and like, what would you, tell a person who wants to become one as well?
So I definitely encourage, anybody who is willing to train people, teach people. So MCT is more of a title given by Microsoft, but with or without that, right? If you're willing to learn, I think in my career, what I have learned, the best thing to learn is to teach someone, right? So once you learn something new, just share it with other five people. When they have questions, right? That might be the questions you never had. So that enriches your learning, and that's how I got started into training and learning things like that. In whatever organization I've worked so far, I have been training people on whatever I used to do, like any POC I do would share. And then when I got into this Microsoft community programs, I got an opportunity to be an MCT. And technically, to be an MCT, what you need to do is you have to have a Azure certification. It can be anything, right? And then there are certain steps available in Microsoft site. So mostly you need to ensure or have someone to validate that you have provided a training, or maybe you are in the training field for more than a year, which was quite some easy for me. So yeah, definitely that's the way forward.
Okay, so you talked about some Azure certifications, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they do add on a lot of value to your portfolio or a
Yeah.
resume. Like from a student's point of view, would
Yeah.
you, suggest them to apply for these certifications?
I
And
would
if yes,
definitely.
then what certifications would you suggest them?
So it's a big yes for the students because it is not only, certification is something is always a good to have, but again, it is not the title you need to qualify that you know that thing. But certification gives you some sort of credibility, and it's more often the process you go through to achieve the certification that's important. And Microsoft has a learn portal which is really well documented in terms of training, right? If you go through, and again, with GitHub there are a lot of open source resources as well. And if I'm not mistaken, tomorrow is Microsoft build challenge ending. So till tomorrow, if you can follow one of the Microsoft learning path and complete it, right, you get a free voucher to provide a certification. So that's like free of cost. So you just grab that coupon once you finish any course, and the course material itself is good enough to clear an certification. And from a student perspective who is willing to get started, basically, Azure fundamental would be the one I would suggest, because that's where you clear your cloud concepts. And once you get the certification, you know the flow, and then you can repeat the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, so you've been working in big MNCs for approximately 10 to 12 years now.
Yeah.
So, like, what according to you will be the top three trends which will shape up the future?
So I'll take a step back here before we go to future, as I was talking about, learning the basics. So from a student perspective, because I have been into a job since my college last year, so I was learning, I was doing hands-on. So one thing has been important and very instrumental for me is like learning the basics, right? Be it any language, as an example, C sharp, right? You can even learn things in JavaScript as well, in C as well. So one thing to keep in mind always, we should clarify our basics. Having said that, with the trend we are going in, right, I'll take a couple of examples from healthcare industry. So today's cloud is everything. So it's like basically you can say cloud first, mobile first, and then and by 2030 mostly all the application will be AI driven, machine learning driven, and it would be customizable based on our needs. It's like a user specific application, right? So 310 I would be saying, like, machine learning, AI machine learning, and then there are things in recently Facebook changed its name to Meta, right? The reason is like metaverse is one of the keywords is buzzing around. So it's like more of augmented reality and virtual reality. I know those are like buzzwords still, but yeah, those kind be going to be the future, I would say. That's on top of, in terms of your medic entertainment industry, and then even they will help in your healthcare as well. So just another example of AR and VR, right? Microsoft is doing with HoloLens. They give the airplane engineers facility to fix the exact appliances with exact accuracy. So that's, I would say, something. And even in the healthcare industry, right, today we can actually print our entire 3D bone, and then that goes for replacement of an original bone. So I would say these are the trendy techs. But having said that, those might sound very, very lucrative. We should be, when you hear this, we'd like to jump on that. But it's always important to remember basics are important.
Indeed. Like, if you have to change your occupation, what
Yeah.
occupation would you apply for? Obviously,
So
except yours.
so basically I'm a musician as well, by hobby. So I think that's something, I'd say. And I do love cooking now and then, so I have two backups in my mind. Yeah, those should be it.
That's really good. Okay, so like, what are the tips you would such as the listeners, from that you have learned throughout your journey, from all the struggles that you have been through, from all the up and downs, and how you got out of your comfort zone for learning something new?
So I would take one example, right? As I was talking about, I have been contributing to one of the Microsoft products, Sentinel, right? And today I have reached to a stage where I can, when I talk to my customer, I can so show, tell them this is my code, this is what I have written. So I know it's easy to say, but I started somewhere around 2020, right? And to approve one change, it took 2 months for me, and that was really hard, right? And I enjoyed. And so what I feel is, even you are a college student or whatever, occupation you are in, or you are, starting at tech. So GitHub is one of the platform where you should have an account, and it's free. Have an account in GitHub, start doing things. Don't worry about doing things wrong, because nobody's going to judge you on that. And then, you have, even in a couple of days back, I was attending one session. I saw one guy live in a session he contributed to one of the PowerShell repositories, and I know his background, right? So it was really cool. I mean, anybody can get started and anybody can, get to the place where they can proudly say, and obviously as a benefit of it, that goes to your job profile. So whenever an job, you're being a job seeker, your interview sees that, that's real, because you're not writing something only in English. That's justified in GitHub. That makes a lot of sense to me, and then I think everybody should do at least one thing.
Yeah, even like for me, I feel that GitHub is like the new resume that the
Yep.
interviewers would like to see,
Yep.
because in that you can't lie to anyone.
Exactly.
Again, no one is going to judge you, but then again, people can see your work through it and your journey
Yep.
and how long you've been working on some tech stack.
Exactly.
So yeah, it is very important to contribute and
Yep.
openly contribute. So with that
and
note, do you want to
and
include something?
Yeah, so and the great thing is, like, let's say you have a GitHub account, right? Again, that's also on cloud, and again, the benefit comes with it. It need not to be a contributor again. So I have repositories where I have scheduled certain things which I forget to do myself every 14 days. So that's like, you can tune it to your personal use as well. And that can be a good part of a resume, because that's nowhere a real use case, but that's a very, very custom use case which you have built, and it's a good showcase to your employer. Yeah.
Okay. So, with that note, we can end today's session. Thank you so much, sir, for taking out your time and coming up here and sharing your journey. And I hope that the listeners were able to learn something from this. And to all the listeners, stay tuned because we're going to come up with many more videos like this. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Thank you.